Peace, peace. Ooh. Peace and greetings to all. See if I can get this lighting right. It might be too bright. Might have to go with that lighting right there. One moment. Okay, come back in. We good. I'm pretty sure everybody can relate to this right now. Give honor to source, to the Creator, the Most High. Whatever your higher power, give gratitude to yourself. How far you've come on your healing journey, your spiritual journey, whatever you want to title it, wherever you are in your life. Let's take a moment to give gratitude for your health, for your well-being, for all of those things. Just trying to get this lighting right on this phone. But either way, I'm sure that's how we feeling right now. I get inspiration when I kind of want to do my videos to put something I created, a masterpiece, which is available, will be available soon. And it's kind of how I've been feeling right now, and probably most of us right now that want to scream, it's okay, go do it. Go do it. I've done it in front of my daughter. My princess, she would scream and be like, ah, and then sometimes I just, ah, and it's really like our inner child. But I'm gonna get into this message and just share something with you all in relation to my own journey and experience, which kind of helped me through my own experience, and just sharing this, whether it resonate now, maybe later, it's something you can return to, in a way, just be sharing my own experiences to be an inspiration to someone. So this topic again has been knocking at me, and I've been having to speak about it, and I'm trying to get this out before my princess gets up for her a little nap. So what I really want to speak about is I elaborate or share my experience, little pieces here and there from how I came into my awakening or healing or spiritual journey. I was expressing to someone how beneficial it was for me to even go back home or to the environments where a lot of trauma was experienced. I feel like this is one of the most challenging things for a lot of people, and one of the most challenging things to, if you want to use the word, escape, or even have the mental capacity to even remove yourself from the environments. So for me, it's been about a few months now being away from certain environments where I really had to reflect and seeing why I was in the environment, and more so what I was receiving clarity for and getting awareness of. So there's videos I posted maybe a year or so ago, probably 2 years now, when there was a time I was in a hotel, or a time where I was going through a major transitioning period. And where I was specifically in this moment in my life, I was with the mother that I came through, and where I was positioned, having see her go through an eviction, and then me prior parting ways with my princess and her mother. This was, again, a lot of things that I still am processing and have processed, and which looks different for everyone, but that moment was a major catalyst and a learning lesson, as well as like a dark moment where I felt really hopeless in a way. But I kept going, because in those moments, which were very pivotal for me, is that allow myself to be consumed by so many distractions, and then allow the past to consume me. By being in their environment, I was surrounded by narcotics, drugs, whatever you want to call them, connected with people who were prostitutes, drug dealers, and so forth. Me being in that environment specifically where I was positioned, the hotel specifically was right across the street was the hospital where I was birthed. Then not even 10, 15 feet away was an apartment complex where I grew up as a young kid and experienced a lot of trauma with my mom and the guy she was dating at the time, or stepdad, or whatever you want to call him. So, the thing which is very significant to this is that I did have an opportunity to speak to the guy that at that moment in the past, which, was an abusive person towards my mom. It was on both sides. I did have the opportunity to really sit down with him, and I realized it really showed me the growth within myself at the age, I believe I was 33, and just see the growth within myself, to have no type of animosity, no type of rage or nothing towards a man that for most of my childhood I seen, abuse my mother. But what made this different and what made this a part of my inner growth and what you see now is that I really paid attention to the significance of even how I came to create my first mural. And for those of you who don't know what a mural is, it's just a bigger masterpiece art that's on a wall, or where you see you traveling. That's what a mural is. So I saw the significance in a lot of that, because here I am, I was birthed at this specific place. Then why I'm in this spiritual warfare, because I'm surrounded by so many things in the same room, sharing a room with, my mom at the time. And with all what she was experiencing emotionally, mentally, from what has just transpired with being evicted and all of these things, it's like, it really took a lot for me to even stand in my own power and not allow external things to consume me. So what I really, where I'm getting at is that it was very beneficial for me to, in creating that mural, or in focusing on not really giving up, but really giving in to the fact of like, okay, this accepting where I was, but this is a destiny. This is this isn't, what's the word I'm looking for? This is, it's all temporary. It's not my final destination. It's a part of my journey. So in that process, I visited a lot of childhood homes or environments that I experienced. Again, across the street was the hospital where I was birthed. Then across another way, again, the apartment where I grew up some of my childhood. In this process, I would go to the gym where I played basketball, grew up at, a lot of things. I was really on a journey, or like a like soul searching for so many answers within myself, to realize like, how did I come to be? Who am I? And who am I becoming? So there were moments where I would have walked I had to walk through these places to get to where I was going. And most of these places, again, was an environment which a lot of us, you hear a lot of slack when people say, oh, a lot of support won't come from your childhood. Your childhood hometown, or your hometown, and, things as such. A lot of it was, for me, is that I realized I was reflecting and or clearing a lot of karma from the environment that I was at. For me, it really brought everything full circle because I realized, like, my mom told me about how she was exploited as a woman when giving me birth, when giving birth to me. So when giving me birth, what? When giving birth to me. And she told me the story and a lot of things in relation to that. So then I started to connect the dots and realize, like, a lot of her trauma, a lot of her emotions, a lot of things that she dealt with stemmed from that. So that was another silent battle she was fighting. And I was a part of that silent battle, but I was on the receiving end of the abuse, verbally, physically, so forth. So it's very challenging for a lot of us because of these environments have become so, we become so accustomed to not ever feeling like we have to grow out of the environment or outgrow people, and this doesn't necessarily mean that, for me, what I realized that I had to do is that even a lot of things I didn't come into clarity of until I no longer allow the wound to keep, not allow the wound to simply not heal, and this is what I feel like a lot of our environments or hometowns or where we were birthed, where we experienced so many things. These are where we experience our wounds first. These childhood homes, these school environments or whatever it is, a lot of these places are where we experience our first wounds. So me expressing to y'all about this is that I realize that a lot of my elders expressed to me that your past is your future. And in relation to that, or how I could to express in detail, is that a lot of us fear returning, or some people may use the term going back. And in reality, there is no turning back. It's more so you're never going to return the same as you left. So that's the mindset, again, when you're in these environments or growing up in these hometowns, that you'll realize that some people's mindsets or whatever they're doing will never change until you decide to be the change. And see, had I not departed, because I've departed before, but in my departure before, I was running from myself. So this time around, and this is probably for a lot of us, is that this is or has and will be different, because your awareness, your self-awareness, you honoring and standing in your truth, and what comes with that is that as you pull away, as you're gradually, it's like you're trying to break free of these mental change, generational curses, and so forth. You will be stripped, not only like spiritually, it happens inwardly first, but you will be stripped physically, and you won't be able to relate, or certain things won't resonate with you no more, because consciously you are elevating, or your awareness into you going into that hermit mode or isolation or seclusion. You realize that there's something more deeper, and there's a version of you that you had to depart and leave there. And that version of you is the idea that these people, no matter what family member or whomever it is, everyone has an experience with you. Everyone has an idea of you. And that can be related to pain. That can be related to a great, beautiful experience. It's so many things. And that's the thing, where we are different versions, or we have left a lasting impression on whomever it is. But the most important aspect of where I'm getting at is this, is that one of the greatest things that I had to do is to accept that version of me and allow myself to walk away without looking back. That doesn't mean I won't return, or when it's called for me to return, if that's in my, a part of my journey. But I think that's the most challenging things for a lot of us is that, I challenge people to visit or revisit or go to these places where a lot of your trauma is. This is one thing that helped me a lot on my journey, because I realized that I feel like a lot of what we battle with is that due to so many suppressed emotions, due to so many repressed emotions that our mothers and fathers have held on for so long, is that we not only individually are fighting our own spiritual warfare and trying to heal and trying to make amends or tend to our own inner wounds. Sometimes we can we can pick up on the collective energy, and some of us are so sensitive, and or be labeled as empaths or healers, whatever you want to call yourself. If you are very sensitive, then you're very powerful, and that's what I had to learn myself to be. Through those darkest moments in those wounding areas, I realized that I had to go back, and I've done this. I went to those places. I touched the doorknobs of those places. I stood in those environments where I experienced a lot of trauma. I cried. Or if I didn't cry, I sat there. But one thing I didn't, do is stay there. And so I feel like the challenges were for a lot of us, and I bind and break and, dispel that illusion that has been cast upon you, that mental magic, is that you can let go. You can liberate your mind, because your body, you could have left. A lot of people deal with this. No matter how far they go or how far they went, their mind or the memory, the suppressed memory, the pain of that emotion, that memory, you're still or have been connected to that place. So you've been telling yourself, or, saying that, oh, I'm free or I'm liberated, just because you left, just because you moved this place and did this and did all these things. But have you truly accepted it? I had to express to my partner, I said, yeah, I get the forgiveness thing, but how have you accepted? That means, have you accepted the wound? You can accept what has happened, but can you embrace the fact that this is a wound only I can tend to? Because sometimes the most difficult thing is that we want the others who we have been so attached to or connected to help us mend or tend to those wounds that they unconsciously sometimes, or whether they know it or not, have, due to the fact that sometimes they have overlooked their wounding so much, or have been in this programming so much to where and this is a part of the narcissistic templates that are dismantling or already dissipating, is that you've had a society or people who've been run by so many illusions of control, manipulation. And so we have became, at that moment, we all have been affected by that. And so with that, some of these caregivers or people are a part of their awakening is for us to come into ours. And whether they get it or not, again, that's the acceptance. See, a lot of us been running. I was running for 20, 30 some years. And I had to really realize, like, whoa, now being where I am now realizing what I don't want to celebrate or indulge in. Again, this is my own experience. This is my own perception. But what I realize, what I'm no longer part of, is that I don't have to be dishonest with myself anymore. I don't have to do that to fit into something that is dysfunctional. So by me going to these environments, I realize, again, have I truly accepted the wounding? Have I truly accepted the pain, the trauma that has been passed? Have I truly accepted that? Have you truly accepted that? Because in that acceptance, then you begin to embrace the new version of you. So it doesn't matter how far we have gone or how far we travel, what relationship we have entered. Have we truly accepted what has happened to us? Because in accepting what has happened to us, we will realize that it happened for me. So that mindsets go from victim to victor. So that's one thing, again, that was one of the most challenging things, is that I had to go to these environments and I realized, like, wow, I knew that I won and I was walking in victory when I decided to go through these environments where I experienced so many traumatic things, and then begin to create my vision in my own reality, and no longer let others determine or try to play a God complex or dictate my every move. So when I did make that mural, or when I did do those things in those environments where I was birthed and experienced these things, I was still challenged with a lot of doubt. I was still battling with, well, do I need to prove something? Or who will see it? But the divine reminded me that accept that what has been done already. And in that, I really sat with it. I was like, wow, I really did this. And that acceptance, that deep acceptance will have you embracing a new version of yourself that you cannot even put into words. Because it's the many eyes that will see the mural that I created. But it's not about taking credit. It's about the consistency. So that's one thing I realized on this healing journey, that it's ever unfolding. It's still layers. Being apart, and really, again, it has a take for sometimes for you to remove yourself. As a tree, sometimes the divine will uproot you and place you in certain places where you are celebrated and appreciated. See, the thing about a lot of these environments is that you have people around, the energy, they never seen healing. They never seen someone speak as such. They never seen someone do what you've done. So a lot of when they're operating their shadow or having faced a lot of things, a lot of their shadow or a lot of their darkness comes up, the jealousy, the envy, and certain things. And what I paid attention to is that even in these places where I had to see what was going on, I had to reflect. I had to pay attention to, well, why am I being brought to this place again? So I had to learn to alchemize that pain. I had to learn to go to those very places where, again, when I used to walk as a child, when I used to play basketball, when I used to play with my friends, I used to do a lot of things. And so with that, I realized, like, wow, in reality, I have already moved forward. But what a lot has happened for me is that when I've been at a distance now, and now being restored, see, the thing about the pain is that you're restored with the nurturing. And that's the thing about the deep acceptance I had to learn, is that how can I ever move forward if I haven't accepted and let go of this version of me? That doesn't mean I have to, forget about it or neglect it. No, that version of me was a part of me. And I feel like that's the most challenging things that we want to deny ourselves of or rid ourselves of, is the past. And in reality, that version of us, that version of me was so significant. I had to learn to write letters to the 5-year-old or the different versions of me that I wanted to hate. the things that I didn't want to remember. The things that I remember being specifically in an environment where not just the physical or verbal abuse, but one of my childhood friends, you know, harmed himself and he transitioned. And we were young. So there are a lot of things you don't see coming. But I had to go back to that little boy and embrace him again. And that's my message to a lot of us, is that, you know, that can be one of the most challenging things. Go to that childhood home. Go to that school. Go to that environment. I'm not saying barge in, stand on the land. Because a lot of things we don't realize that we're healing is not just for us. What about the things that happened before we arrived? So we're not just the only ones. I told my partner, I said, I went on a walk with my princess, and it's like, Spirit revealed this to me. If you look at the environment that you're in right now, and then seeing how certain things, whether you have kids or not, and seeing like, and this is a thing where it's not about being perfect. It's not about having it all together. And that's the one thing I had to learn not to beat myself up over. Because in my departure, I had to realize that I was still processing things previously, having dealt with people, processing the fact of, for the past like almost year and a half, how much walking I was doing, how much really, how consistent, how, just the art, just everything, the YouTube, it was so many things. Again, and you can look at your life. There's so many things that we feel like we're running a race that's never ending. And in reality, a part of me learning to be restored is that I had to accept that version of me that family or whomever wanted to hold on to. But in that acceptance, I had to let that version of me, how could I say this? Because it just came to me, like, take the back seat. I had to let that version of me take the back seat instead of allowing that pain, allowing that version of you that, it's like taking full control or being in the driving seat again. Allowing love, allowing harmony and peace to restore you, to be restored within you. And not allowing those old versions of you or people drive or navigate your ship. See, that's the thing I had to accept, because I realized I was in environments and around people who were allowing what has happened to them in the past, or what trauma or what pain, they were allowing that to drive and steer their life. But I no longer resonated with that. So I had to tell my pain, generational curses. I had to tell the traumas, childhood traumas, all those things. Y'all got to take a back seat. Because right now, the holistic version of me is in the front seat right now. The healing version of me, the self-love, the self-care, the self-improvement, self-abuse, you got to take the back seat. Now, I can drop y'all off somewhere, or I can, whatever you want to do, but you can't say I neglected you, because I've already accepted you. See, where I'm getting at is these versions of other people that we want to point our finger at is a mere reflection of yourself. And that's the one thing I battle with a lot at the moment, is that I was so focused on what other people were doing, how they were doing it. And I had to really get to myself and realize, why am I so focused on what they're doing? And so that's when Spirit dropped it on me when I was walking with my princess, and I expressed this to my partner. I said, man, wow. I said, you know how we went through things in our childhood? And this goes for everyone. You know how we went through things? And this is for you, that whether you have children or not, you still have a ripple effect on someone. Is that you have a choice, again, to create function or dysfunction. or you have an effect where you want this person to experience your inner conflict and pain that you haven't accepted or assessed it or tried to navigate through, heal through, or anything. And I was like, wow. Sometimes we aren't even conscious of the fact of how and who we have affected until we really becoming aware, self-aware. And I was saying to my partner, I said, Spirit gave me this message when I was walking with Ali, and I was like, hold on. As I was walking, I was like, wow. The self-awareness of like, dang, have I in any way created any type of trauma for her? Or will I? Or even if I did, will there be a time where she has to return back to these environments and learn a lesson, you know, in regards to me? And I was like, wow, I have the self-awareness now to realize, like, in loving myself and focusing on my inner wounds, that really helped me in those moments where, whether I was with people or not, but in that home environment or in these environments, it really helped me focus on myself and my own inner wounds and assess those things, because no one else could do it for me. No one else. And so that made me bring awareness to the fact of like, having seen how through the healing process, through the spiritual journey of learning more about myself, I really start to see the woundings in other people. And I realized, like, wow, do I want to become them? But at a point in time, I was them. So in reality, I couldn't judge that version, because that version in a way was reflecting back to me, to where I had to take accountability and be of my own emotions, of my own, how I respond to their reactions. And then even with the whole new experience, and when you come into a new experience, is that you're being birthed anew. You a whole different being. Your mindset, your body may change, you know, a lot of these things, but that those inner wounds don't just go away. And so I was like, wow, what I had to really reflect and be like, wow, what have I done in any way to be a bridge, whether it was dysfunctional or functional for not just Aaliyah, but any other child, whether it be my nephew or someone else. And I'm like, wow, and or people. So this is why I speak about how going to those places where we've been telling ourselves for years, and a lot of us have done this, because when we have suppressed our emotions through our, you know, your work environments, you're going to schools or whatever it is, that suppression doesn't go away. That's a part of your inner wounds. Those suppressed emotions don't go away. Those inner wounds don't go away. And again, now that we're more consciousness, or you're seeing, you know, the collective consciousness rising, now we become more aware of how we all have played a role in some way. So when I was going through that experience with my mom and or the people that I was around, I had to realize, like, wow, I have to see this so I don't continue to be a bridge of dysfunction or self-abuse. So, and it's not to say it's all perfect and to say, oh, my life is just, no, it's the simple fact that I realized, like, it's the accountability. It's the beauty in seeing how we all can create and change for a healthy, more healthy dynamic, more healthy relationship. While being in those environments, I realized what I reflected on the most is that I realized that this imbalance or this unhealthy relationship, these abusive dynamics, I realized that these people didn't have a healthy relationship or dialogue with themselves. Then I was doing something that they never done. They were still harboring pain. They were still suppressing through whatever they were doing. And I was being judged tremendously because at that moment, I didn't want to go out there and work for someone. Every time I would try to do something that wasn't in alignment to what I was supposed to do, I would immediately, like, the divine source would like redirect me. Because it was something, and this is what I want to tell y'all, there is something, that wounding, that inner wound that's within you is connected to those places. That abandonment issue, that neglect that you felt your mom and them, wherever that stemmed from. In a spiritual sense, yes, we were abandoned by those that say they loved us. They didn't really teach us the value of our inner worth, our inner value. But how long are you going to continue to neglect yourself? Because it's not on mom and dad or somebody else to come along and try to help you. And it's not to say they're not going to help you physically, but there's the higher self, if you want to call it, inner child, awaiting for that aspect. And that's what I realized on these visits when I would take these walks or I would go to these places. I realized that my inner child was still there. The part of me that I neglected for 20, 30 years was still, the inner child was sitting there like huddled up, awaiting on my arrival to be embraced again. That pain or, that abuse, verbally, sexually, whatever, that memory was still there. And I had to be the one to go back and let that pain or that suppressed emotion know that, hey, I accept you, but you do not have power over me. You don't have power over me. Now we can do this together. And see, in accepting that, you get your inner child by the hand, or you hug yourself, you hug your inner child. And then you begin to not let these memories haunt you, but you begin to express it. You begin to share it for the betterment of all. And through that process, it can be difficult because, again, this highlights a lot of the family dysfunction. This highlights a lot of healing, a lot of things dealing with, different chakras, dealing with different things going on internally that mom, dad, or great grandma, so forth, didn't have the opportunity. I was, and in that process, that's the thing about reconnecting with that, is that the faith, knowing that you and your higher power, your inner self, the God within you, you got to stay stern on that, man. That's a balance, because people will come at you. I was going through a lot of things in that process. So again, when I felt like I should be doing something else, I stayed so consistent with my creations. Well, I had people say, oh, that nigga lazy, that dude, he don't want to do nothing. Look at him. He don't want to go work. He don't want to do. But a lot of what they were projecting onto me was related to their own emotion or suppressed emotion of what they've been doing. And I was here to do it differently. And so are you. I knew I was here to do it differently. I knew I have always been unique. I knew I have always came to be a game changer. I knew that somehow I was already 20 steps ahead in a way. So I had to really, in a way, in the spiritual sense, I had to nurture myself. Father and mother aspect. Those energies. I had to learn to do those things. I had to stand 10 toes down with creating, and still is, no matter, what financially was coming in or what I was receiving. because a lot of what happened, and I realized being in those areas, I realized how I was swayed or how I was convinced on to try to be something that wasn't in alignment or authentic with what I'm here to do and still doing. So even when I tried to do that, my life became, it was a balance. My life really became hectic because I was surrounded in these environments which I was taking on different versions of, of what I deemed normal or functional or um, harmonious, peaceful, whatever you want to call it. Like I said, this ain't got nothing to do with not having fun. Um, just going to these environments and being able to be at peace now. So that's what I felt like it was about. And that's why I challenge people, like, whether you have the courage to speak to people, whether you have the courage to say anything or whatever, you can go and do something for yourself. You can go to these environments where you know deep within you, your soul is urging you to finish what was started. See, the trauma was started. That was the initiation. But you can close that chapter. And you can rewrite the story. A lot of those environments where I experienced so many things, I was sitting there like, whoa, this really happened here? And also to the people that are no longer here with us, they're here with us in spirit, but they have transitioned. I got a cousin that his birthday was on the 12/12 portal, or his birthday was on the 12th, and it just hit me out of nowhere. I'm like, whoa. And I started to do the calculation, and it was like, wow, it's been, what, 10 years. It's like a completion. It's like a cycle. And this is the same hometown or place where you're not prepared mentally, physically, or whatever, because that's not in your mind to think that, you're young. You're like, oh yeah, we're just gonna grow up and live forever. That's in our mind. Like, oh yeah, cuz, we gonna do this. We're gonna do this for. And it hit me that day out of nowhere. I was like, wow. Being that it's 10 years, he did not get to see, my princess or meet my partner. So a lot of that is like, I was telling my partner I couldn't ever compare my journey to no one. I wouldn't ever, because I feel we all have an experience through the eyes of the Creator, through Source. And so that helps the perception to realize, like, we all see life differently. You got children that probably, they're more connected to Source than ever. So it's like, when I was younger, when I was real young, like, I used to see my mom go to church or go to certain places, but when I saw her cry, I cried. I was like, why am I crying? But now it's like that's natural, because we have developed some type of emotional support or bond with mom. That's natural. But where I'm getting at is the simple fact of, like, again, with relatives or people, I say now to probably, like, prior to even me departing there was someone I was just reconnecting with, and she transitioned, like, unexpectedly. And then, like, there's numerous of things that, again, we don't ever know what people are going through, and people feel like this all the time, and they keep it bottled up. They don't have a healthy outlet, or they don't, it's wild. I was telling this lady in the library, it's like society has got so consumed with the thinking of, like, they don't even know what fun is no more. And that's the thing about, I realized, being restored with going to these places, returning to my essence, which is my inner child. It's like I'm learning to have fun again. So again, society, a lot of people don't know what that is, because they become so accustomed or consumed by being an adult. So they've been neglecting their inner child. They've been neglecting, and then trying to be an adult and paint this image of, you know, this mask of like all these material possessions or whatever it is, all these things, mundane things, and it's like they're empty, they're sad, they're hurting. And so no matter how they try to cover it up, their woundings are very loud, like without saying a word. And so I realized that the big issue at hand with humanity or people, that they don't know how to have fun. They think fun is what we deem as fun. It's like partying and all that other stuff. And in reality, we know that shit don't really do much. We know in reality, like, I'm talking about like fun, like doing a cartwheel, doing some flips, going to the park, something that that brings you joy. And that's the thing that a lot of us, again, from our childhood experience, and one thing I experienced is that school and a lot of environments robbed me of my joy. If I didn't have art and create while I was in certain places, I didn't give a fuck. That's just what it is. I really didn't care. If I didn't be able to create art, run around, get my energy out, talk to people, socialize with them, I could care less. So you got environments or these institutions or whatever you want to call them, universities, that's trying to make everyone be one thing. And in that, they forget about the oneness of everything, is that we all are unique and different in every way. We all have our own conscious, or we all have our own blueprint, and we all are making our imprint in this life. And so it's just been covered up by so much bullshit. That's what's it's like you're sweeping away all the traumas, all the pain. You're trying to discover. It's like you're the hidden treasure. You are the hidden treasure. You are the secret. That's what I had to find out returning to these places, even places after, there's places I want to return to, but I won't ever return the same. It's like I can go to these places and laugh and have a sense of peace and joy again. And that's what I wish for everyone. It's like you realize that in these darkest places where you experience this trauma, is that you are the hidden treasure. You are the secret. It's always been within you. You are the hidden treasures. Those places that you've been running from, those people that you've been hiding from, it seems, that's where the treasure lies. In the abuse. May sound wild, but in the trauma is where you find the light. That's where I'm getting at, is that's where the hidden treasure is. I had to find my voice again from being at a time in my life, growing up young and getting to a place where I felt like I couldn't say nothing at all, or if I said something, or I'll be judged or criticized, yada yada. But now I don't give a fuck, because it's like the innocence of who I truly am and what I've been trying to be, the divine been restoring me with. So it's like now I could attract those who want to have fun, who want to create memories, who's not focused on mundane or things that it's all temporary, but things that, again, that fun is different for everybody. But like I said, I can go on and on, but like I'm telling y'all now, the hidden treasures, you are the hidden treasures. That's what this has been about the whole time. Who are you? Who am I? And even in who you are, what identity are you subscribing to? What norm are you trying to fit in? Who are you trying to convince that you're happy, that you are loved, that you are seen? Who are you trying to convince that of? Because if we're all made in the image of God, the creator of source, then we need not to try to convince anyone that we are here. So you got to look at, again, the trauma isn't just where you experience in a home. there was trauma and a lot of things created in this country, in these environments, that preyed on our childhood woundings, that created so much division to keep people away from themselves. These false identities that you created was to keep you away from your true identity. And that's being authentic. That's being who you are unapologetically, no, not, but we have been hurt, and there was never apologies from those people that we love, from these environments, from these, well, it doesn't matter about the governmental structure, but there was never apologies from, that's the dysfunction in all these foundations that are crumbling. It was just handouts. That happened when we were kids. Oh, here go you a sucker, here go you some candy. Never an apology, a sincere apology. So I'm telling you now, apologize to yourself for letting this shit go on for so long. Then go back to that version of yourself and be like, we got this. And you get through it. Because I'm just a living proof. Because it's about having fun now. And hey, find what is joyful for you. Find that joy within again that you buried. You've been burying all along for years. Find that joy, that thing. You know what it is. See, that's the thing. I'm going to leave y'all with this. That's the thing, that's the hidden treasure. Is that, how could I give you this analogy? All the things that the divine has given you, you put in this treasure chest. And just because of what mom and dad or society has told you, or whomever, relationship, whatever you were in, that say you wasn't worthy, you got this treasure chest. And you went to the ocean. And you pushed it out there. And in that treasure chest, these are the gifts, the natural gifts that you have always had, your natural abilities, the things that bring you joy, the things that bring you peace, the things that you know that make you feel and know that you are worthy and valuable and limitless. And you pushed it out into the ocean, and it began to sink. And when it sunk, it's still laying there. And this analogy is that it's imagine that treasure chest. You are the oceans, and it's inside of you. That treasure chest sunk to the bottom, and it's been covered up by so many things. It's been eroding, or it's been it's not molding, but rusting away on the outside. But notice that, again, you have to be the one to dive into yourself, literally dive into the ocean and recover those things. That's what divine is trying to show you. In those places, these environments where you have been trying to run from, those are the hidden treasures. Those are the aspects of yourself, the versions of yourself that you've been running from. The parts of yourself that, that you felt people robbed you of your innocence. And that's what a treasure is inside of you. And once you open it up, you'll realize that it's been there all along. But no one can dive to the depths, and no one can meet you as deep as you met yourself. No one can go as deep as you can go. No one knows the depths of your connection with yourself and with the divine or source, whomever your higher power is. No one knows that connection, knowing thyself, knowing who you truly are. I express that to my partner. No one knows to the depths of the path that I had to walk, that I had to experience. So, meaning that you and the divine only know, and that's something to be grateful for. Because no matter how much I express to y'all, how much I couldn't even I wouldn't ever convince my princess or any child that you should glorify or praise someone outside of you, or someone in an egotistical way or in a idolizing way. Not at all. Because what I realized, what was robbed from me, or what I felt that was stolen from me, was already within me. So me being a bridge and seeing that and recovering those fragmentations or those hidden gems within me, and the divine revealing that to me through the process of healing, the spiritual journey, breaking generational curses, then I'm able to be a bridge. I'm able to set the stones and set the bridge for my princess. And you are too. And whether you have kids or not, you still are a bridge in a way. So for somebody, someone's always watching. So just know that you are the hidden treasure. And the treasure lies within you. Peace and blessing. Shalom.